because then that would start to peel too. But overall, I'd give myself a B minus, but I give the factory an F anyway, so I'm doing better. All right, now I just have to clean off the top. Okay, now I just need to run the slide out room in, because I still have to put the insert on the entire slide out room. All right, slide out room in. Almost all the way, and check this out. Hopefully you can see right there, the tape makes its way through. I brought it in just a little bit too far, but hopefully you can see I was talking about. The top hits first, and it's gapped down at the bottom, because the top's supposed to hit, and then the bottom is the only thing that gets dragged in and out. So that's where it gets pulled in pseudo tight. But I still have to put this back on, and there's not enough room right there. Well, the next step is to put this insert back in, which we've already covered this a couple times. But I will also point out that I'm only down to the last 50 feet of that insert. And that's about 300 feet I've used so far, I think. And while I would have thought this would have been more than enough, I still have to do this side and this is, I don't know, probably about 20 feet. So that's 40 feet, not to mention the next. I don't have enough, do I? Oh my gosh. This stuff really adds up to a lot of money. Not looking good. Let's see. Kidding me, 2 feet short. Luckily, I don't burn bridges too much. And my friend Cody with East Valley RV Specialist just down the street had a roll for me. Thank you, Cody. You always come through for me. It was already open and he gave it to me at a very good price. So thank you, Cody, and East Valley RV Specialist. If you guys email me looking for help, there's very often a good chance that I am telling you to go to East Valley RV Specialist, because they do good work and they're good guys. So we're almost done with all this extra work. Seal this up. Hopefully a little bit better than the factory did. Otherwise, I am just using clear silicone like I did on the other side. And nothing changed about this. So with all that done, just have to put the crimp seal back on. Now, it's a good thing to do with these, because this actually has a steel spring within it. Just kind of just squeeze it back together to get a little bit tighter. You can kind of see it's wide right there, a little bit narrow right here where I'm squeezing it. That way it holds on a little bit better. Now there is a little bit of a lip on this aluminum. I'm supposed to grab it. Just gonna pop back over. And this down here is really just for looks, because there's no sealing surface down there. There's nothing there. So I'm gonna run this back in one more time. We'll take one more look at it. All right, so hopefully you guys did see how it hits on the top and then the bottom comes in. And I'm gonna say, well, it doesn't look like a brand new trailer. It's at least built better than a brand new trailer from Cardinal. Now, I wish this was the end of it, but if you guys remember at the very beginning when we were underneath right here, this does have that blowout damage underneath. And we got to address that before I forget about it, and I'm filthy anyways. But I also wanted the slide out in so I could throw away all my trash and clean up my area. So let me do that real fast. All right, so with that cleaned up, I have to run this back out again. And we will go all the way out with it this time. That's looking really good. Alright, so remember there was a tire blowout right there some time ago. Now it's been probably 3 or 4 years since I did a video about doing a wheel well repair on a travel trailer. And like I said, we could put new fabric on it. They call this Darko material. You can also just get it at the hardware store. The stuff you'll get there is more for like a weed cloth, so it'll have a green stripe in it, but pretty much the exact same stuff. But because I do hoard stuff, I have this piece of aluminum skirting. It's already painted. And it looks like it's gonna be just long enough. So I'll just get some quick measurements, cut this thing to fit, do a quick bend on it, slide it in there, screw it in after some sealant, and we'll have an upgraded RV. And then we'll make some sort of smart comment about how the factories could do a little bit better job on their recreational vehicles because tires blow out all the time. Call it 31 by 6. So we want at least an inch on top of the frame here, so we'll call that 7. 31 by 7 by, because we need to put a bend on it. 3. Of course, I am sorry about my rant from earlier. I think there are a number of channels out there doing absolutely fantastic things, trying to get the manufacturers to stand behind what they do. I just really don't think the manufacturers truly care in the way that when you watch somebody like Liz Amazing go through all the hassle of proving that it was a manufacturer error, the manufacturer still is reluctant to do anything. It kind of proves the point that I'm ranting about. Sorry to rant so much. Go ahead and slide this in. I don't want it too long. Okay. All right. That should do it. All right, let's do it. I'll test fit right here. Gonna go right underneath there on top of the frame, and then this is tall enough, looks like, so we should be good. Alright, let's get some sealant on it and hammer it in. And then I did go ahead and cut the corners off so they don't snag on anything, and we will just be using my favorite liquid butyl, because it's not necessarily adhesive, it's not necessarily sealant. We just want to keep water from getting stuck in there because this is going to be getting wet. All right, let's hammer it in. Again, doesn't take too much. Just to wedge it into place. And I'll just put a couple screws on top to keep it from moving anywhere. But we'll be good back there. And who's to know if maybe the original families that started these companies were still building the RVs. Maybe they would take a little bit of critique and take, you know, they built them with a lot of pride because their name was on it. Okay. We'll dress it up a little bit here. And now nobody will have the better idea that this was not here from the factory. Beautiful splash guard. Look at that. Awesome. I think with that, I'm nearly done with what I wanted to do, at least today, but there is one more thing I wanted to show you guys. All right, so the last thing that we're gonna do on these slide out rooms is address the bottom molding down below. If you guys remember, I took out the insert trim that was in there because it was just full of mud anyways because water gets in there. So the first thing you have to do is get away for the water to get out. So we're going to cut out a little bit of the molding right here. Now we could very easily just get a grinder with a cutoff blade on it and notch that right there. You can also just as easily use a pair of diagonal cutters and just cut that bottom track too. Doesn't have to be that high tech. All we're gonna do is open it up, and we don't want a nice sharp edge, so we could just use a pair of pliers right here to break off that little bit of a lip right there. We'll ease the hard edges just a little bit. You can use a file too. Just takes a little bit longer. Of course, a rotary file will work even better, as long as we have a way for water not to go back past this wall, because that's how you're going to start rotting your floor out too, even if it doesn't go out that way. But don't forget, we do want to open this up so we aren't attracting water and capillary action. Gives it a place for it to break. Especially because this is a level out floor, so as it goes up, it's going to tilt that way. Now we haven't trapped water in here that wants to travel uphill past the seals there. Again, how much time and effort did that take for me to do? And I don't work at the factory. Speaking of that, we need to clean and seal this area too. I don't think we need to advertise for them anymore, so I might as well take that sticker off. All right, no more beef jerky. Clean off the rest of that residue. Be able to see all the residue that razor blades will take off now. That's a lot faster. Again, very simple. Now this will only take off sticky stuff. It will not take off dirt. So you do want to use some sort of a cleaner that'll get rid of the dirt. This isn't that complicated. I'm really surprised the factory didn't have one cap seal on here from the beginning. So all I'm going to use is silicone sealant. It's clear. You could use white, but white will look bad over time, so clear's the right answer. I wouldn't recommend Lexol or the Geocell ProFlex on this, because that stuff does get tacky in heat, and it will start to stick to the seal right here. So the next step, we're just going to put a small bead of clear silicone as a cap seal. Again, this is just a flashing to help redirect water away from this joint right here. But I'm not going to go all the way, because I do want to show you one thing. And I do hate to acknowledge that I was inspired by factories. I stopped right about there because I want to bring this slide out room in. And I'm doing it right here by the front door because there's going to be great access for us to see what we're talking about. You can see with the slide out room in, there's nothing that would actually stop water from coming uphill and getting inside the floor right here. Not a big issue on a level out floor, but definitely a much bigger issue on a normal slide out room where you get the carpet wet with water being able to travel up that molding over to this point right there, because there's not going to be any sort of compression against the seals right here. Now some manufacturers will just get a piece of molding right there to kind of act as a stop for the water to go uphill, but I still don't want it to come down into this part right here. So what we're going to do is what I see on a lot of manufacturers. Rather than screwing this down and putting another hole in the slide out room, we're just going to get some neoprene foam. Now in this case, this is a self-adhesive or sticky back foam. It is closed cell, so it shouldn't sop up any water, and it's about the same thickness as this molding that's going to be against. So we will go ahead and clean this section off, get the dirt out of the way. And we're just going to manufacture our own little water stop. Now this is where the fascia does engage with the bulb seal, and the wiper is a little bit further back, so I think about 2 inches is all we need. Now while I'm confident you could probably actually buy these from the manufacturer, this roll was like, I don't know, $10, and I got it the next day. So we'll just go ahead and cut this to about 2 inches. That was simple. That was definitely going to be too long, but I think right about there seems about right. Let's see how long that is. Looks like I'm going to call it about 4 inches. Just go ahead and cut that. Now, just like when I did the Eternabond on the roof above, I put a bevel on it because if we keep a corner right there, as it goes past the wiper seal, it's going to want to peel up this little corner. So right about where the molding starts, we'll cut it at an angle. Now, I'm not trying to be very arts and crafts about the whole thing. It's just these do work surprisingly well. Simple. Now, while we could just go ahead, put it in place, pull it back, and stick it on, let's give it the best chance by using some adhesion promoter. Put it on all the surfaces that it's going to touch. Just go ahead and pull the paper backing off, but I'm not going to reveal the bottom yet. That way I can stick it on about where I want it to be, which is right about there. Okay. Now, there's no doubt in my mind water can still get behind this little foam right there. I'm just going to go ahead and use some of that clear silicone and seal off this section right here. Now I can pull this back off. And we can stick it down, push it into place. And now, look at that. We have a way for the water to get stopped and not to go further back against here, just like the factory does, but a heck of a lot cheaper and easier. Now, the last thing we'll want to do is run a bead of sealant on top of here too. And we're actually going to go on top of the foam there because water will still get back here and we want to give it every chance to get out. And just like that, we've improved a slat out design for almost 50 cents. Now, of course, we will still need to let this finish curing before we run the slat out room in and out. That way we aren't wiping off the fresh sealant. But that was it. We'll do this 5 more times and we will have some pretty nice slide out rooms that I feel comfortable sitting down the road and not having the floor rot out like most manufacturers would. The saving grace on this Cardinal was that it was in Arizona, and so it doesn't see a lot of rain. And that's where I'm going to leave it today. I think the next thing I'll do is going to be the entry door, but this has been quite the long project as it is, and I'm ready to call it a day. And I still have 5 more of those seals to put on. But if you didn't see, this is the 3M adhesion promoter that I like. Usually comes in little tiny sponges in a foil pack, but they also make Pro Bond adhesive promoter. I don't find this stuff works quite as well compared to that stuff. And I guess hopefully we can see that got a microwave installed. Recliners are over here, and I have the reclining sofa over there. It's almost looking like a pretty nice RV, isn't it? Like, that's why I like this floor plan. I think it'll always be a good floor plan. I've done a video about doing a repair on a tire, now I have done a video about a wheel well. Call that. In this case, it's a self-adhesive neoprene foam.